Hey Rebel, welcome to Untoxify Your Relationship. Here we will talk about all things healthy and how to get that toxic mess out of you and your partnership. I'm your host, Melissa Webb, a practicing licensed mental health therapist with 10 years experience. I've been on a journey encouraging women to throw the middle finger up at society and to become a rebel, to go against the grain of who and what you are supposed to be and grow into what God has created you to be. And I do this by teaching them skills to cultivate stronger relationships through healthy theology and mental health practices. All right, let's go ahead and hop into it. Hey y'all, this is episode 9. I'm almost in double digits, and today I am also congested, so you're going to get all this nasally action in this episode. But today we're going to talk about boundaries versus ultimatums. On Netflix, they have a show called The Ultimatum. Now, I've seen season 1. I've also seen The Ultimatum France, which was actually really good. I watched it in French with English subtitles because I'm trying to learn French, and the best way to do that is immerse yourself in the language. I still don't know a lick of French. However, I was trying to learn it while watching The Ultimatum France. And so now I'm on season 2. And basically the premise of The Ultimatum is one partner in a relationship gives an ultimatum to their other partner, basically saying, I want to be married. If you don't want to marry me, then I'm breaking up with you. The whole experiment, quote unquote, it's a group of couples. They switch partners and they're married to this other person for like 3 weeks. And then the next 3 weeks, they go back to their original partner. The thing that's funny with the first 3 weeks is that a lot of people who gave the ultimatum, someone like, I don't even know why I want to be married. Oh, is this what married life is supposed to be like? So they're like discovering, like, do I really want to be married or do I not want to be married? And I'm like, well, why you give an ultimatum? You should just gave a boundary, right? So instead of giving an ultimatum, give a boundary. And the boundary could have been, hey, I really want to get married. I just don't want to wait forever. Can we talk about this? Instead of just saying, if you don't marry me, then I'm going to break up with you. Like, what? Like, how does that make sense? In either situation, whether they're given an ultimatum or a boundary, the relationship have to change whenever a boundary or ultimatum is issued in a relationship. When it comes to boundaries being issued in a relationship, it helps to bring the relationship together in theory. Whenever ultimatums are given in the relationship, sometimes they can lead to the ending of the relationship. One thing I'm seeing, especially in season 1, I haven't finished season 2 of The Ultimatum, a lot of couples broke up. I think like maybe one couple got married. I know in France, I know two couples got married, but a lot of them broke up because it's an ultimatum. Like, you're basically saying, it's my way or the highway. This is what I want. Therefore, I'm breaking up with you. So today we're going to iron out all these things about boundaries and ultimatums, because what I see people doing in the therapy room or even friends or anybody else is that they think they're giving a boundary, but they really giving an ultimatum. Or vice versa. They're like, I gave an ultimatum. I'm like, nah, you actually gave a boundary. So today we're going to define both. What is a boundary and an ultimatum? There are some similarities between the two, so I can see how people get them confused. So we're going to talk about the similarities, but they're vastly different. And we're going to talk about those differences. And then we're going to go over how to change our ultimatums to healthy boundaries. So let's get into it. A boundary, and this is my definition of a boundary is setting limits that allow you to be healthy in a relationship. Pretty simple. Boundaries help to bring a relationship together. Boundaries let people know your needs and wants. That's what boundaries are. Ultimatums, on the other hand, they are demands that damage the partnership if they are not met. Ultimatums build up over time. This is not something that just comes out of left field. It's not like you're on your second date and you're just like, if you don't marry me, I'm going to break up with you. The person will be like, wait, I just met you. How does that work? The similarities of both a boundary and an ultimatum, they both are about you. When it comes to boundaries, like I said earlier, they express your needs and how you want to be treated. Boundaries are there to protect you. When you're setting boundaries, you're basically telling people what you want or what you need. So whether that's telling someone like, hey, I really don't want to talk about this right now. I need to take a break. That's your need. When you're setting boundaries, you're letting people know your needs and wants. When it comes to ultimatums, ultimatums are about you and your wants, and you're doing it in a really threatening way. You telling people what you want, but you threatening them like, hey, if I don't get this, then this is going to happen. Boundaries and ultimatums, they both are needed. And I put an asterisk by the ultimatum, and you'll see why later. But first, boundaries are needed in relationships. If you have a lack of boundaries, that can lead to people pleasing or being disrespected by people. I always call people pleasers yes men or yes women. They say yes to everything and they deny themselves of what they need. And on the opposite end of that, when boundaries are not in a relationship, their partner can be disrespectful and they can just walk all over them. When it comes to ultimatums, some ultimatums are actually needed in certain situations. So for example, if you have a partner that's an alcoholic or they have an addiction, porn or gambling or something like that, you can say like, hey, I don't like these behaviors. If these behaviors don't change, then I'm leaving. You can also set ultimatums on your deal breakers. So for example, let's say you're an advocate for the LGBTQ community and your partner bashes that community. You can say, hey, I don't like it when you talk bad or disrespect these marginalized communities. If this continues to happen, then I'm leaving. Deal breakers like having the toilet seat up all the time, don't necessarily have to give an ultimatum with that. I've seen people do that and I'm like, oh, that's a bit extreme. Like, let's bring it back. Like, what is it about this that you don't like? And then make that a conversation with your partner. If you want to give an ultimatum for that, feel free, but just know like that's not healthy. Threats are not always a bad thing, especially in these certain situations where your safety is concerned. If someone's threatening you, you're like, hey, I don't like this. My safety's in jeopardy. And so therefore you give a threat. I don't think anyone would disagree that staying in an abusive relationship is conducive. We're not giving out boundaries in an abusive relationship. We're giving out threats like, hey, you continue to do this, I'm leaving, or I'm just leaving. That's why some ultimatums are needed. Now, here are the differences when it comes to boundaries and ultimatums. Boundaries are super flexible, whereas ultimatums are rigid. When it comes to boundaries, they allow for choices. So for example, if I say, I can't continue this conversation right now because I'm triggered, can we discuss this sometime tomorrow? One, I'm letting them know like I can't continue. Then I'm also saying, can we discuss this tomorrow? That opens up a dialogue for hopefully your partner to say, yeah, what time tomorrow? That becomes a conversation. It allows for choices, not like a one answer choice. There's actually multiple choices because that conversation can go a lot of different ways. That's just one way it went. When ultimatums are rigid, there's only one choice when it comes to an ultimatum. This is what I want and I want it this way and this is how I'm going to get it. And that's not very flexible. So there's no choice. Just this is how it is. When it comes to communication, boundaries are calm and assertive and they have some effective communication to them. Tone is everything when it comes to communication. Now, I can say a sentence like, for example, the last sentence. I can't continue this conversation because I'm getting triggered. Can we discuss this at some other time? Now, I can say it like this. I can't continue this conversation. We need to continue this another time. Both of those, same sentence. One is calm, relaxing, it's inviting. The other one was, I got an attitude. You get on my nerves. I can't do this. I don't like you. And I don't like this conversation. When you're saying these sentences, it matters how you say it because how you say it is communicating what you're saying as well. Assertive language is being direct and honest. It's also using I statements. When you're being assertive, you are respecting your feelings and you're respecting others' feelings. So when I say I can't continue this conversation, I'm getting triggered. Can we discuss this some other time? Another way I've said this, because I've said this in person before, I can't continue this conversation or I'm going to cuss you out. And I don't want to do that. So can we continue this another time when I calm down? I respect my feelings of I'm being triggered, and I also respect the feelings of the other person and the relationship, because I was like, I really don't want to cuss you out because that's not what you want. I use very colorful language. I combine cuss words. It sounds amazing. I ain't trying to do that to you because I'm going to hurt your feelings. Care enough about that person. Let them know like, hey, I really need to stop because if I continue, it's not going to be good and we not going to like each other. I was calm. I was assertive, and I was able to communicate that to the person I was talking to. Ultimatums are not calm, and they're aggressive or even passive aggressive, and they're rooted in some type of shame or guilt or manipulation. When it comes to passive aggressiveness, it appears passive, but it subtly is aggressive, and it exerts control over others with sarcasm and indirect communication. When it comes to aggressive communication, that sounds like defensiveness or hostile communication. And when you are aggressive, you ignore others' rights to get what you want out of that situation. Think of anybody that you've seen be aggressive lately. How did they sound? What was they trying to get out of that situation? So just if you really think about these two, you'll understand like, wow, ultimatums are really underlining mean and aggressive or even passive aggressive. And that's where we get that manipulation and the shame and that guilt and all that. Like, you don't care when you're using that type of language. The tone is not caring about other people and their feelings and their desires. It's all about me, 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 me. Boundaries open up communication, whereas ultimatums just off communication. So with boundaries, if you have a relationship that's vulnerable and open, honest, and transparent, you saying, I can't continue this conversation because I'm getting triggered, that can create a dialogue with your partner, and your partner can say, oh, you're being triggered. I'm so sorry. What is it about this conversation that's triggering you? Because that'd be something I would say, because I'd be concerned like, whoa, I wasn't trying to trigger you. I'm just trying to talk about this one thing, but now something else is happening. So do you want to discuss that? And you know what? The person who said it, they might not want to. However, it still creates a dialogue where you all can discuss these things in a safe, healthy way. Whereas with ultimatums, you shutting off communication and it's my way or the highway. If you overuse ultimatums, let's say you're always using ultimatums to get your way in the relationship, it can cause emotional abuse and it undermines the security of the relationship. Who feels safe if they're always being threatened? If you're always using the threat to get what you want, your partner's not going to feel safe. They're not going to feel comfortable being open, honest, and transparent, because there's no safety in the relationship. There's no security, and it's not a healthy relationship. Matter of fact, it's toxic, and that's why we're here to untoxify our relationships. Next, boundaries let people know what you want, whereas ultimatums threaten to get what you want. When you set a boundary, you let people know what you want. Doesn't mean that you're going to get what you want. I think that's the main thing about boundaries. You're open to the fact like, hey, I put my needs out there. It's up to the other person to decide how they're going to react to my boundary. You can't control that other person. The only thing all you can do is set it and forget it. Like I tell people, set it and forget it. And your partner or your friend, your mom, whoever will decide what they want to do with that. When you let people know what you want, you're being vulnerable. That goes back to that open, honest, and transparency that a healthy relationship needs to thrive. When you let people know what you want, it sounds like I want, I will like, I need, using those I statements to really directly communicate your needs and wants. You're not beating around the bush like, I guess I could have, you do this and I think that will make me feel better. That's passive. It's not I guess I need this. That's passive aggressive. Or I need this and you better. That's aggressive. We don't want none of that. We just want hey, I would like, it'll be nice. I really want, I need this right now. And just letting your partner know what you need. And like I said, ultimatums threaten to get what you want. You force your partner in a corner when you set an ultimatum. And it threatens the relationship and it forces change. Not change for the better, like some people think, oh, I'm going to tell him that I want this or I'm out. Okay, cool, do that. And then you're going to piss him or her off, and then you're going to be out of a relationship. And like I said, some ultimatums are needed. Those ones that are not needed, they're unhealthy and they're toxic. When you force your partner into a corner, you pressure them. And the pressure is, oh my God, if I don't do this one thing, then they're going to break up with me. And that's just one example. There's other manipulative tactics that people use. I necessarily don't want to use those on the pod because they're extremely hurtful. And I'm just trying to keep it lighter on the pod and not kind of go into some of those other manipulative tactics that people use. If you notice something about ultimatums, they all have a formula, and it's an if-then statement. If this, then that. Whereas boundaries, they are more in depth and they create conversation. If you're with someone and say, if blank, then this, and it sounds threatening or angry or even passive aggressive, then you're like, that sounds like an ultimatum. But if it's I statements and say, hey, I need this and I would like this, can we do this? Then that's creating conversation and dialogue, and that's a boundary. And those are things that you want to hear in your relationship. So here are some ultimatums, and we're going to see if we can turn them into boundaries. So the first one, and this is from my show, The Ultimatum. If you don't propose to me by the end of the year, then I'm leaving the relationship. Now, the end of the year is like in 2 months. That's giving us no time to do anything. To change that to a boundary, we can say, I want to be married to you one day, and I don't want to wait forever. Can we talk about a timeline? Or you can say, can we talk about our future together? You're inviting someone into a conversation. You also let them know, like, I want to be married to you, but I ain't gonna wait forever. Time is ticking, homie. We need to figure this out because I do want to be married to you. And you just let them know, like, this is what I want and I'm not going to wait. Therefore, we need to figure something out. So that is a boundary. And it also, again, opens up conversation and dialogue with your partner. All right, ultimatum. If you continue to talk to your female friends, then I'm breaking up with you. This is one I hear when I'm doing therapy with people. And I'm just like, whoo, child. A boundary can sound like, I feel uncomfortable when you talk to your friend. I don't think I can continue the relationship. You're, again, letting your partner know, like, you feel uncomfortable, and you let them know why you feel uncomfortable. And then you go into, I don't think I can continue this relationship. Still open up a dialogue. Still let them know your boundary of, like, I don't like this and I don't know if I can keep doing this. Hopefully the other person can say, oh, whoa, what makes this? Why are you uncomfortable with me talking to XYZ? And that, again, creates dialogue. Here's the last one. This one's a little tough, okay? If you go out tonight, then I'm going back to my place. That's an ultimatum. Now we're going to turn it into a boundary. I would like it if you stayed in the house because I want to spend time with you. If you do go out, then I'm going back to my place. Ooh, okay. So you use an if then in your boundary? I sure did. And here's why. So the ultimatum can also sound like this. If you go back tonight, then I'm going back to my place. Tone is everything. How I said in the boundary, totally different. So I explained before I even said that one sentence, I would like it if you stay in the house because I want to spend time with you. I'm letting them know this is what I want. And I'm also saying, if you decide to go out, then I'm going back to my place. I have told people before, like, I have had guys say, hey, you can stay here while I go out. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm going back to my place. So this may be someone who is not staying with their partner and they don't want to stick around and wait for them to come home. Something you can add to make it even more healthy. You can add, and we'll talk tomorrow, just to let them know, give them that reassurance of like, hey, I'm not mad. You go do you, boo. I just want to go home, chill, watch Netflix. You can holler at me tomorrow. Go forth and be great. That's how you can change an ultimatum to a boundary. I hope this was helpful, and I hope that this makes it clear as mud. Boundaries versus ultimatums. Again, like, subscribe, share with your homies and your mama and your best friend and your cousin and them. As always, new episodes drop on Monday, and I will see y'all next week. Peace. Thank you for listening. Go ahead and share this episode with your family and friends. Don't forget to take the quiz on my website to figure out which Beyonce song matches your toxic trait. Go ahead and check it out at the-revolution.com. That's THE-REBELUTION.com. Thanks, and see you next time.